Thank you. Y'all go ahead. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here today. And Jason, thank you. Jason was a joy to work with. I think even another member of the same family I enjoyed more than Jason is his son, whose name is Jackson. I used to call him Action Jackson. He would get down on the floor. He was a joy to watch work. I hope he's doing well. And to my delegation members, stand up for a minute. Turn around. Let me tell you about most. There's one or two here. There's one new one here, and I expect. Did you get that? Did you bring that flying pig out of my office? Good. I may get to that if I have time, and I'm going to stay within the time. But look at these people. You know, everybody talks about political courage. They always talk about doing the heavy lift stuff. But before they sit down, let me tell you what they did. They were the only legislative body in the United States that refused to extend long-term unemployment benefits, because we thought it was time to get people back to work. And our unemployment rate went from 10.4% to 6.4% in 5 quarters as a result of their hard work. I'm not finished, though. We were one of the few states that not only did not expand Medicaid, we made it illegal for the governor to do so. Now, but wait, there's more. We actually, I think, expanded Medicaid to some 367,000 people without taking on Obamacare, and we did it at a cost of some 20% less, is that right, than if we had taken on Obamacare. So these men and women have taken on some of the most difficult tasks: medical malpractice reform, workers' compensation reform, cutting taxes by $1.2 billion to create a $2.5 billion structural deficit, and we still balanced the budget within 6 months in our rookie season as leaders in North Carolina. Thank you. So, y'all, I was not planning on running for the Senate. I term limited myself. I had no earthly idea that I'd come from the minority, a perpetual minority. I would argue only the second legitimate Republican speaker in 100 years. There were a few that kind of argued that they were, but not really. They were negotiated Republican speakers. And the other one's Harold Brubaker. And I don't think Bru's here. I think he had to go back to North Carolina. But I also want to give a shout out to Bru. If he was here, I would say it and thank him. But his leadership, he was the guy, he was my mentor. He was the guy that got me involved in ALEC. He's the guy that made me believe that this is one of the most important professional development and knowledge and best practice sharing devices that we have. Thank you so much for your courage, ALEC, and to the private members for supporting ALEC. You're critically important, and as long as I'm in public service, I will do everything I can to support you. So thank you. Now here, I was trying to decide what to talk. Oh, there is one other person. I always forget him. I've known him for about 54 years. I've got a brother who just got elected to the Tennessee legislature. Ricky, where are you? Great state of Tennessee. I had an opportunity to have dinner with the Tennessee delegation last night. Ricky was out of earshot. I said, look, every once in a while he'll get hard-headed. Just slap him upside of the head. If that doesn't work, give me a call. But he's going to be a great addition to the state legislature, and I wish them very well. Now, I was not going to run for the U.S. Senate. And the reason that I wasn't going to run for the U.S. Senate is I term limited myself when I first came into the legislature. Turns out that I went from freshman to speaker in 4 years. I'd served my 2 times. I actually tried to pass a bill to term limit speakers of the House, and my guys actually supported it strongly. I don't know what that says about me, but we couldn't get it out of the Senate, but I wanted to go home and go back into the private sector. The reason I decided to run for the U.S. Senate is it was a tremendous opportunity in 2014 for us to take back the majority in the U.S. Senate. And North Carolina was sort of on that pathway to get us to a majority. It proved to be the most expensive Senate race in U.S. history up to that time. Pennsylvania just went past us, but it was about $118 million. Now, when we got in here, everybody had high hopes for what we could do. The reality is we have Senate rules and a number of other things that make that difficult. Down the street at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, we also had an administration that just decided to disregard the idea that we had a legislative branch and legislate with his pen and his phone. Now we're in a completely different world. And in my remaining time here, I want to talk about the opportunity that we have collectively, both Congress and the state legislatures. And I don't want to talk about Democrat or Republican. I want to talk about conservative, sustainable, free-marketed, limited government, federalist principles. I hope. Now, here's an opportunity that the Democrats have set forth, or I should say the progressive liberals who have taken over the Democratic Party have set forth for us. They have gone so far left that the American people in most states rejected where they wanted to take this nation. That's why we have a president-elect Donald Trump. Now, we lost a few seats in the House and the Senate, but we still have majorities. We have to recognize we're going to have challenges, one of which is going to be in the Senate, the cloture rule. There are many people who think we should go nuclear on legislative policies. I don't. Here's why. In the 3 instances over the last 100 years when the other party actually had effective supermajorities, so it was sort of like having a 51 vote threshold, we got the New Deal, the Great Society, and Obamacare. Do we really want to set up a process that when we're not in the majority that we could have those sort of disastrous policies foisted on us again? Here's our task. Our task is to convince enough members on the other side of the aisle to embrace policies that are going to heal this nation, grow this economy, and make us safer. I believe that we've got the ideas. I believe that we could be the party that goes to the right of center that actually attracts enough of the American people and the people that they elect into Congress to embrace a right of center, conservative, limited government, federalist-oriented, free market leadership. That's us. Now, here's what we're going to have to be up against. There's a lot of excitement, right? I mean, we're all excited. We won. We're going to be taking over in early January in the House and Senate. We're going to have a Republican president elected on, or nominated on, or actually sworn in on January the 20th. Now I want to take you back to 2009. I want to take you back to the legislative dining room where I'd ordered a fried fish sandwich, and it was April. Now in 2009, in the April time frame, March-April time frame, this is after President Obama, I don't know if they can pick, it looks like they can. This is after President Obama had won in 2008. This was it, we were done. Liberal progressive policies were going to rule this nation. Republicans and conservatism were dead. That's what was going on when I'd ordered a fried fish sandwich. And I'd gotten a call from my managing partner, worked in a banking practice at IBM Global Services at the time, come over from PricewaterhouseCoopers. He called me up and he wanted me to quit the legislature and come back to work, mainly because they were allowing me a lot of time off. And the length of time it took that fried fish sandwich to get done, I told him that I was going to quit. Because I was completely convinced, in spite of those news reports at the time, that if we were disciplined, the then majority was going to fail to live up to the promises that they made, and that we could have a majority in the North Carolina House 18 months later. And today I'm standing here as a U.S. Senator because I was so convinced that it was going to happen in the House. And in 2014, I was convinced because of the failure of Obamacare, the failure of national policy, the failure of economic policy, that we had a chance at winning a majority once again. Our task is to deliver the promises that we've made to the American people. You and your states, and me at the federal level. Now, what does that really mean? What it means is political courage is going to have to take on a little bit different tenor in my remaining 4 minutes. I want to talk about what that means. Is it politically courageous for you all to get up and say, I'm for limited government, free markets, and federalism? Is it politically courageous to say, I want lower taxes and fewer regulations? By gosh, you Democrats better get on board. No. That's your job. You're conservatives. You're fiscal conservatives, maybe social conservatives, maybe defense hawks, whatever brings you to a conservative worldview. Political courage is not when you stand up for the things that you should stand up for as a conservative. Political courage is when you turn to a fellow conservative and say, I'm only going to go so far in this step because I want this passed into law. I want to be successful. I want to produce results. I don't want to go so far to the right to be the analog of these people who went so far to the left, which is the reason I was able to become Speaker of the House and ultimately Senate in the United States Senate. So it's going to take patience and it's going to take leadership. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take an obsession with looking at the promises that we made and fulfilling them. Lowering taxes, maybe not as much as many want, but enough, and enough again, and enough again. Protecting the Second Amendment, promoting life, promoting traditional family values, but in a pace and time, in a manner that the American people and the people in your states can appreciate and embrace. So you'll have to have the courage to step back to people who right now, on our side, feel as emboldened as the people on the left felt in 2009. They overreached, and that's why we're here. Thank you, by the way, for overreaching, far left. Let's not let them think us 2 years from now. And if we do that, we can do extraordinary things. We will lower taxes. We will repeal Obamacare. One of the first votes that I hope to take next year is the first step towards repealing Obamacare by passing a budget, which is not really a budget. We'll pass another one in the early part of the year. This is simply a vehicle that let us send reconciliation instructions with a vote threshold of 51 to a President Trump who will sign it into law. Something that we did a couple of years ago that President Obama vetoed. So my appeal to you all is to make sure that we recognize this is a history that we don't want to repeat. Because if this is the headlines that are being written in 2019. It is on us. It is not on the liberal progressives. It is on us. Because we failed to fulfill the promises. We failed to instill confidence in the American people and the citizens of our state. We got distracted with swinging for the fences rather than getting on base and getting around the horn and scoring bases. That's how baseball games are won. We have the opportunity to win this game. We have a responsibility to win this game. We have to be obsessed with anybody on our side who could potentially threaten our ability to fulfill these promises and to be successful and to make America great again, incidentally. So, in my remaining 28 seconds, for those of you who don't know me, yes, I probably am as intense in one-on-one situations as I am up on the stage. But it's because I love my state and I love this nation. We owe it to the American people and to our colleagues who may every once in a while get a little bit nervous with mustering that political courage to look at those with our own worldview and say, we're going to take this slowly, we're going to take this methodically, and we're going to take this nation and our states to better places than they've been in decades. I know it's within y'all. And as long as I'm in the U.S. Senate, I will guarantee you I will work very hard to point to specific examples where I'm going to fulfill my promise as a U.S. Senator. So thank you all for being here. God bless you. God bless all your states. And God bless the United States of America.